All right. Welcome back, everyone, to Coffee Talk with DJ and Risa, where we spill the real world stuff that moves the needle.
And this month, we're talking all about gratitude. So I love November. Today, we're talking about Veterans Day,
Yeah.
service, housing, respect, and the exact steps to serve veteran clients like a pro.
Yeah. Welcome, Risa. Quick promise for everyone watching in the next 15 minutes, you will leave with a checklist, two scripts, three lender questions, and a simple honor with action plan. So let's brew it.
Thank you, DJ. All right. First, let's talk about mindset. So veterans aren't a marketing vertical. They're people who signed a blank check for our country. They lead with humility and precision.
Yeah, and that means pronouncing names correctly, showing up on time, and doing what you say you're going to do. You'll be amazed at just how far that goes.
And also, don't assume. Tell me about your service so I can better ask about their service. Tell me about your service so I can better support you. If you're listening for active duty versus veteran branch, service connected disability status, or you're also listening to find out if there's a spouse with eligibility.
Yeah, and let's make sure to thank them for their service as well. That always goes a long way, especially for everyone either in active duty or who has served in the past. But let's talk about sort of the VA loan. So some fast facts that agents really must nail down to be able to work with veterans and be able to service them correctly. Now, a couple of things to note here. Number one, with veteran loans, VA home loans, what we're really going to give you is just this bullet train version. So looks it up. And by the way, you can go back to this and if you don't have a notepad in front of you, come back and write some of this down. But basically, here are the bullet points. What you need to know is the veterans have 0% down, right, for their purchases and no monthly PMI. That's a really big deal. This is a huge affordability win. It's obviously a thing that the government does to honor these veterans. Also, there's a certificate of eligibility that is required, right? So the lender can usually pull it in minutes within the client's info or what's called the DD 214. This is to verify, of course, that they have been in service. There's also a funding fee. Now, this varies by first versus subsequent use and down payment. And it's also waived for many with service connected disabilities and certain surviving spouses. So funding fee could be different depending on the situation. Owner occupancy is required. So these are not investment purchases for, to use with a VA loan, right? These are primary residence. Residential income test and DTI, they still matter, but it's different from conventional. Seller concessions are allowed within the VA rules. Now, this is where you would want to talk to your lender about the current cap and definitions and what's allowed, right? Appraisal has a different process in a VA loan. Think like Tidewater or notice of value, things like that. But there is still an appraisal. Assumable loans, VA loans can often be assumed, and this is a very big deal. This is powerful in high rate markets. This allows somebody to possibly get a loan at a rate that's different from the current rates that are out there today, or pass that rate on in a future market. That's really very, very cool. And then there's IRRRL, which is a streamlined refi, sorry. And that exists for future savings. And that's good to know for after close care. Again, that's IRRRL. Talk to your lender about what that looks like. Now, what about condos? So condos are a little bit different. So for VA approved condos, you have to just check to see if it's VA approved, and those tend to list a little earlier than other condos. So you want to make sure you know what's VA approved. And then there's also what's called a Native American direct loans. This is for Native Americans that have served. It's called the NADL. Obviously a niche product, but certainly something to keep in mind when you're working with VAs. Maybe ask them, do you have Native American heritage? They may qualify for that.
All right, DJ, that was a great list. And often people don't even know that they qualify for these benefits.
Yeah.
And it may be your first responders, it may be doctors, it may be your next door neighbor, it may be your best friend, and they don't even know that they are eligible for these benefits.
Hmm.
So, you don't have to be an expert at this. You got to just connect them with a great mortgage broker. And I think Maria Kennedy and Terrence Terrell from ANN are great mortgage brokers. So connect them. But here's some agent moves, okay? So I'm going to recommend a few things. So first of all, loop in that lender really early. Say to the lender, hey, we're writing a VA loan. Anything I should build into the timelines, the fees, or the concessions? Really and truly, they're your partner in this process. And prep the listing agent. So when you're working with a VA buyer, you need to reduce the fear. And some people don't have enough knowledge about the VA loan. So tell them, my buyer is fully underwritten, VA appraisal, it's not a deal killer. We're going to manage the timeline and repairs like adults. So kind of ease them and reduce their fear.
Yeah, it's a quick story. I knew an agent who had a listing, and the agent panicked at the thought of a VA loan. He just wasn't that familiar with it. So what we did is we pre-briefed the agent with the buyer's DU findings, the lender's track record, and a one-page VA myth versus facts sheet. It ended up closing early, and fear evaporates when you hand people facts. And by the way, for those of you that aren't using AI, this is a great place to research things like a VA loan. Now, you don't want to always take what AI says as gospel because AI makes mistakes. But if you are unfamiliar with VA loans, I would go into ChatGPT or Gemini and literally ask, hey, I'm an agent. I'm not that familiar with veteran loans. Could you give me the primer on it and maybe even quiz me on it? And you'll get more information that way.
Okay, I love that story. I mean, really and truly, that's brilliant, and educating your partner, the other agent in this process, is so key to this
Mm.
because they may be very unfamiliar, which creates a little bit of a vulnerability, and we want to make sure that they are working with us so we can all get to the closing table. Love those tips. All right, let's go over some scripts that you can all steal. Okay, so here's one if you were working with your buyer, okay? And it's a buyer consult opener. And you start off with, first, thank you for your service. My job is to translate your benefits into winning terms on a home you love. With your permission, I'll loop our VA experienced lender in today so we can go ahead and pull your COE and get you your timelines right.
Yeah, and here's a script to when you are working with a VA buyer and you are contacting the listing agent after submitting an offer that has VA, right? So you always want to think about what is the listing agent going to think. And when they see VA, they might have a reaction that's like, oh, there's more steps here. This could be more problematic, more challenging, more just complicated. And what you want to do is you want to call that listing agent right away and say, hey, I'm DJ. You'll see VA here on the offer, and you might think, oh my gosh, repairs and delays. But here's what we've already done. We were COE verified. We've done automated underwriting. It's been completed. The lender appraisal scheduling's already been pre-appraised, and we aligned on close dates. If a tidewater happens, we'll provide comps within 48 hours. We're here to make your seller comfortable and close clean. Now, if you didn't get all that because I said it a lot, go back and rewrite that and make sure you do all those steps, but you say those to a listing agent, and those are the magic words they want to hear to go, okay, this person knows what they're doing.
And TJ, you brought up AI earlier, but you can practice scripts with AI. Go into ChatGPT and tell them, "Hey, I'm representing a VA in this offer, and I want to know the best way to present it to a listing agent." And it will give you some great scripts. So, and let's just talk about gratitude line for Veterans Day follow-ups. As we head into Veterans Day, I'm reaching out to you to say thank you. If housing questions ever come up for you or someone you served with, I'm a phone call away with resources and straight answers. Let people know that you can help them out with their VA loans and let people know about what they could be benefiting from and thank them for their service.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Now let's talk about lenders and title. So here are three questions that save deals. So when you're interviewing lenders for a veteran client, and you probably do want to interview a few lenders for veteran clients, you're going to ask how many VA when you talk to the LO, how many VA loans have you closed in the last 12 months. Now, you want to look for somebody that's been doing this for a while and has a lot of reps under their belt. Also, you're going to want to ask, what's your average VA clear to close time? Because that is going to be probably different from a VA clear to close, right? Lenders love to brag about their clear to close. Make sure you know their VA clear to close because it probably is going to be slightly longer, but you just want to know that number. Also, you want to ask them, walk me through your Tidewater playbook. Now, this is where you want the process. You want to know that they know what to do if Tidewater shows up. So this is for comps, turn times, and what's called an escalation path.
All right. And as for a title or attorney, here in Illinois, we use attorneys. So interview your attorneys
Yeah.
and ask them, are you familiar with VA non allowable fees and how the 1% lender flat fee works when applicable?
Mm.
Or if we need repairs for MPR, minimum property requirements, can you help structure holdbacks or credits within the VA guidelines? All right. So here's another strategy for you. When you're making the offer, you really want to focus on a few things. So VA really focuses on safety, soundness, and sanitation. And if the home has peeling broken panes or broken handrails or obvious safety issues, flag it right away and price the solution.
Yeah, that's really, really important. You're going to want to offer structure, right? So if the seller worries about VA repairs, offer a pre inspection or present a repair plan with capped costs. Boy, I love hearing the word capped costs.
Mm.
Consider seller credits also to offset closing costs instead of price cuts when the appraised value is pretty tight. And if your buyer has cash, even a small earnest money signals, or a small earnest money signal rather, or a limited appraisal gap um, uh, you know, clause can ease concerns when appropriate.
Excellent, excellent ideas there. I love that structure. All right. And I also want you to realize that when you're working with a VA loan, the timeline is a bit different. So pad the appraisal scheduling slightly. It is a different appraisal process. So put milestones in writing. Like, for example, the COE is verified on day one, the appraisal is ordered on day 2 to 3,
Hmm.
Tidewater window plan documented, and so on. If you are completely unfamiliar with the VA loans, maybe you want to have a mentor or a coach on these types of deals with somebody who's got expertise.
And we want to give you some bonus sort of resources and benefits that are beyond just the loan. So these are agents who win with veterans. They really know the whole resource map. It's not just the loan. So here's a quick short list to memorize. And if you have a pen and paper, this is good things to write down. Number one, VA loan home loan basics plus COE retrieval. Another one is funding fee exemptions for service connected disabilities and some surviving spouses. Another one is specialty adopted housing, which is called SAH, and special housing adaptation, which is SHA. So a little bit different. Those are grants, and these are huge for clients with qualifying disabilities. There's what's called TRA, which is temporary resistance adaptation, adopting a family member. Sorry, adaptation, which is adopting a family member's home during recovery. And then there's what's called a HUD VASH, which is housing vouchers with case management for eligible veterans experiencing homelessness. Now, this is good to know for community referrals. There's also state veteran benefits offices, which are often additional down payment assistance that for properties with tax relief programs. Also, VA approved condo search. We talked about this earlier. This is, again, check early to make sure it's VA approved. And those are, again, a bunch of steps there, and I don't expect you to remember them all, but just realize that those are some additional resources that you can go back to your client with.
And agents, if you want to be working with first responders or medical people or just VA loans, maybe these are great ideas for social media posts. Take one of those items that DJ spoke about, like the specially adapted homes or funding fee exemptions, and make that your social media campaign and really let people know that you are an expert in this area.
Hmm.
Okay. All right, so here's an action step. I'm going to encourage all of you to build a veteran client one pager with your VA savvy lender. So reach out to maybe Maria or Terrence, and or maybe it's going to be with a VA knowledgeable attorney that you just interviewed and you really want to work with. I know that our attorneys, our preferred attorneys, Mitch Mancioni and Frank Panzica, definitely know VA loans. And maybe you want to reach out to one of the county's veterans office service officers. Keep it updated so that you always have this guide that you can be sharing with your clients as well as the other agent.
Yeah, let's talk about some pitfalls and then how to fix those, right? So we're just going to go through these quickly, which is pitfall. Again, assuming VAs are harder. Now they may be more comprehensive and more complicated, but they're not necessarily harder. So here's the fix. If somebody says, "Oh my gosh, VA loan, that's harder," you say, "No, no, it's just different." And what happens is your pre-work becomes the value, so it doesn't take longer.
So true, DJ. Okay, here's another pitfall, writing long inspection wish lists. And here's just the fix. Just anchor the request to the MPR. Here's what the appraiser will flag, and we're asking for these items only.
Right, that's another one. And then also waiting on the COE. Right, and here's the fix. Pull it before you shop seriously. Surprises love Saturdays, right? So you don't want that happening on a Saturday.
All right. And here's another one. Don't ignore condos. We already talked about the VA approved list, so pull that early and verify your VA approval on day one. If it's not approved, discuss your pathway and pivot.
Hmm.
All right. So, all right, we've really talked a lot about the veterans. Now I want to about how to honor with action, and I want you to do this week. And I'm going to give you a 3-day micro plan. Okay. So day one, pull a list of past clients and sphere who served, and send out a handwritten card, not a pitch. Just thank you for your service. If ever I can be of help with housing questions, I'm here. I
Hmm.
love handwritten notes.
Yep.
Just it just goes so far and people save them. All right, day two. I'm going to encourage you to record a 60-second Veteran Day video. Maybe it's about the top 3 housing benefits veterans should know, and then post it and send it to your database or put it on social media. A nice, quick, tight video. Day 3. Meet with a veteran service officer or a local veteran non-for-profit and ask, how can I help? Can I host a Q&A with a VA experienced lender? Oh my gosh, the room will fill and you will have so many leads. And it's a great time of year to give back and just say thank you.
Yeah, in almost every city, township, sometimes even neighborhoods, there are VA halls, right? This is a great opportunity to stop in and say, I would like to provide some information to your members. Can I set up a quick meeting? And they can do a lot of the marketing for you and get that room filled. But if you're hosting an open house this weekend, now again, this weekend being the weekend just before Veterans Day, I want you to send out a small "Veterans We're Honored to Serve You" flyer with your one-pager QR code. Now, this is respectful, useful. It's not salesy, and it lets everybody know, whether they're a veteran or not, that you respect and honor the men and women who really are here to protect our freedom.
I think that's a great idea. Absolutely. All right, we're going to do a lightning round of tips and tricks. So please, I know we're giving lots of notes today, but here's some more. Okay, tag in your CRM whether somebody is a veteran, a spouse, or surviving spouse.
Mhm.
Make sure that you tailor your drip campaign so that you're giving them information of value. Keep a VA appraisal comp packet template ready. Make that in advance. I know ChatGPT can definitely help you with that. Save a COE checklist. So if you don't know what a COE checklist is, and this is your area you want to work on, Google it or ChatGPT it. Make sure you have that checklist. And for rehab needs, make sure you know about 203K versus VA friendly alternatives. Talk with your lender. I know Maria and Terrence know all about this.
Yeah, and also Risa mentioned this earlier, which is to build a VA Mythbuster PDF. Now, you might say, I don't know how to do that. Well, what I would do, and you could go to ChatGPT and ask for that information, but what I would do instead is a great opportunity to connect with your lenders. We have Terrence and Maria at A&N. We're happy to do that for you. And whatever lender you might be using, they are going to have this information. So reach out to them and say, hey, I want to dispel myths for VA loans. I want to have that at the ready. So can you send that over to me? And if they don't have it, they'll build it for you because, of course, they want that business as well. And also, keep a short list of handymen who can knock out MPR items fast, right? That's so useful. And then if rates are high, remember, highlight assumable VA loans in your buyer huddles. Like that assumable thing is so cool, and almost nobody gets access to it except VA loans. It's like really unheard of these days. One day, Risa, I will tell you the story about how my parents, who are not veterans, accidentally got a assumable loan when it was double digit interest rate environments. And the person made a mistake and they were able to sell their home in 2 days when rates were like 13% and theirs was like 6%. They didn't even know it was assumable. It was a complete mistake. I'll tell you that story someday because these are so rare and so valuable. You want to know about these for your VA clients.
That is unbelievable. All right, I want to hear that story.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it's great.
yeah. All right, so DJ, I know you got tons of stories.
Yeah, let's just talk about this one last story here for me. So I once also had somebody on my podcast actually who had a veteran buyer, and he lost two offers because listing agents were freaking out about VA loans, right? Or the VA purchase, right? They just didn't like it, and they went on the third try, and they packaged the deal like a trophy. So they basically, there's this old marketing principle called, if you can't fix it, feature it, right? So this was a COE screenshot with permission, of course, lender intro email, a timeline milestone sheet, and a letter from the contractor agreeing to complete two likely MPR items which were under a cap, right? So seller said yes in 2 hours. I mean, if you get a packet like that and you're a seller, you're like, oh my gosh, this person knows what they're doing. And this was a top agent, so they did know what they were doing. Also, clarity closes, right? You want to make sure that seller knows this person is on it. So yeah, that's just a quick little tip there.
I actually love that. And I think that's applicable to any deal that
Yeah,
you make,
you're right.
right? Any
Yep.
offer, like provide clarity to the listing agent. It makes it so much easier for them to accept it. Here's another tip I really want to share with you, and that is don't sell the VA program, sell the plan. And so you need to learn the plan and remove all the unknowns so that really, truly, again, that listing agent sees you as a partner
Mhm.
and that VA loan becomes very, very attractive to them.
Yeah, yeah, agreed.
All right. So, hey, agents, if today's episode helped you, share this with one agent who needs better VA chops. And to our veteran clients and listeners, thank you. We honor you with competent service. And if you're a Kill agent, join us on November 15th when we celebrate the holidays by giving back to the community. We're donating time and gently used children's items to Share House and Share Our Spare. RSVP today on Kill Huddle.
Yeah, it's great. And also again, we gave you a lot of information here. You probably didn't catch it all or you didn't write it down fast enough. That's okay. Just use this as an opportunity for you to learn more about VA loans and VA programs and VA resources. Call your lender, call an attorney, make sure they are up to speed on this and have them send you the information, have them educate you so that you know that they are great resources when you have those informations. But get a one pager, right? Get a one-page outline from the lender, from the attorney, and the resource list that we mentioned. And on our next episode, we're going to be doing what's called client appreciation that isn't cringy. So these are going to be scripts and tiny touch points that create big loyalty.
I love the month of November. We're going to keep talking about appreciation and gratitude and giving back. So, thank you, DJ, for another great episode. Thank you, everybody, for showing up today.
We will